Bad news for LIV Golf Tour players. The Professional Golf Association has been the premier organization for the biggest pro golf tours in North America, with the finest golf talents playing under their scope for decades, until the LIV Golf Series came on board. Ever since, the Rebel Golf League has been using its deep pockets to entice professional golfers with insane sign-up bonuses and other incentives. The top golf guns wasted no time switching loyalties. But with things currently taking a turn for the worst, are some of the LIV players already considering leaving the tour? Keep watching to find out the details. The PGA LIV row. There's been an ugly legal battle between the PGA Tour and the LIV Golf, and things seem to be getting out of hand. The tour has been harmed the most by the breakaway tour, and it's only natural for them to keep trying until they make it. However, this isn't the first time someone tried to pull a fast one on the PGA Tour. Not just anyone, Greg Norman. Sometime in the 90s, Greg tried to pull a similar stunt and almost launched an independent tour. But due to a shortage of funds and a host of other factors, the project never saw the light of day. So when he resurfaced in 2021 with LIV, he got everyone thinking it was one of those things that'll fizzle out in no time, just like before. But what they didn't know was that the Australian Hall of Famer wasn't coming alone. He had the backing of the Saudi PIF Wealth Fund. When he was announced as the CEO of the LIV, Norman remarked that his golf series was set to change the tides. "This is just the beginning," said Norman. "We'll be highly cooperative and support the game at every level, while creating additional opportunities across worldwide professional golf." But has the LIV been truly supportive? Recently, the LIV released its 2023 calendar, which comprises 25 events. These events are scheduled to be played across the world, from Thailand to the United States to England to China, and the home of its sponsors, Saudi Arabia. LIV strategically partners Asian Tour. Earlier this year, the LIV and the PIF partnered with the Asian Tour to unveil a $300 million international series. This strategic partnership saw an increase in the lucrative investment by the LIV into the Asian Tour to the tune of $300 million, an increase from $200 million. The CEO and commissioner of the Asian Tour, Cho Min Thant, described it as an elite event Asia has never seen before. "We are on the brink of a new era for Asian golf. The International Series is an elite event, the likes of which the region has never seen before." According to the CEO of LIV Golf, the partnership is possibly the biggest in golf history, and assured that everybody would be carried along. Everybody stands to benefit from the collaboration: pro golfers, amateurs, communities, grassroots golf, fans, and even economies. I'm very optimistic about the future of golf. With LIV taking more strategic steps to cement its place in the world of golf, it seems it'll be on the scene for a long time. And right now, some players might just be regretting their choice of joining the Saudi-backed golf venture. And here's why. Their cash, their rules. For the 2023 calendar, the LIV expects all players on tour to feature in the multi-million-dollar investment series. This means that the top guns will be left with no choice but to play 25 times next year, around the same number they would normally play on the DP World Tour and the PGA. There are also 4 majors that the players will obviously want to play, adding to a total of 29 tournaments. Don't forget that some players in the league will also want to compete in the European Tour to earn Ryder Cup points and keep their European Tour card. So with tournaments everywhere, you can't help but wonder how players like Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed, who joined the Rebel League to spend more time with their families and played less, will have the time. "I chose what was best for me and my family," said Johnson. On the other hand, Reed stated, "It somehow wears on you as a father, an athlete, and a person. This is the best decision I've made," he continued. "I can now compete at an elite level and still get to spend enough time with my family." Anyway, there's a lot of golf to play for these guys, and with a lot of golf on the breakaway tour comes loads of cash. And one can only imagine how super excited Mickelson and Brooks are to be playing week in, week out in Asia. But if they choose to stay on their previous tours, all they have to do is choose where they like to play in their area. But hey, it's LIV. You want the cash? You follow the rules. But here's what Greg never told them. As soon as the Rebel Series kicked off its inaugural event in the Centurion Club outside London, England, the PGA Tour wasted no time suspending players under its purview of who participated in the event. A few moments after teeing off at the LIV inaugural event, the players were immediately notified that they would no longer be able to play in PGA Tour events, including the President's Cup. Of course, the PGA was aware of the participating players beforehand, but they patiently waited till they teed off before forwarding the notice of suspension. In a statement to other PGA players, the PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan, stated that the said players violated the tour's regulations. Hence, they've lost many benefits and rights as PGA players. These players violated the regulations of the tour, and as a result, they've lost the right to the same PGA Tour membership benefits, platform, considerations, and opportunities, Monahan said in a statement to other players on the PGA. But these players were having none of it, as they filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour after being suspended. The 11 players, including Phil Mickelson, Taylor Gooch, Bryson DeChambeau, and Hudson Swafford, among others, allege in the filing that the restrictive policies of the PGA were unnecessary attempts to limit LIV's ability to compete with the tour. However, in a twist of events, Mickelson and 3 other LIV golfers dropped out of the lawsuit against the PGA Tour. Dismissing his claim, Mickelson stated, "With LIV's involvement in these issues, I don't feel it's necessary for me to be a part of the proceedings because the players' rights will be protected." On the other hand, the DP World Tour wasn't too lucky. Although the tour also suspended players affiliated with LIV, things didn't go as planned. The tour said players who competed in the LIV inaugural event would be suspended. True to their words, they were. But how did it turn out? The players' actions undermine the tour and are not fair to most of our membership, and this is why we're taking the action we've announced today, said Keith Pelley, European Tour Chief Executive. But what Pelley didn't know was that those guys weren't going down without a fight. Justin Harding, Adrian Ategu, and other stars wanted to feature in the Scottish Open, so they appealed their suspension and won the case. However, winning didn't guarantee the DP Tour would be happy seeing them play. DP World Tour Chief Executive Keith Pelley would later express his disappointment in the verdict. "We are highly disappointed in today's verdict, but we will abide by the outcome. But remember, it's just a stay of execution pending the hearing of the players' appeal," said Pelley. From his disappointment, you can tell that the battle is still far from over. These golfers are keen on playing on the DP Tour and still enjoy the benefits, including playing for Ryder Cup places and the world ranking points, which affects major invites. What if they get relegated? According to the Saudi-backed circuit's new player regulation for 2023, at the end of the year, some of the least performing golfers will be playing to stay on the tour, while the up-and-coming players will have the chance to be promoted to the LIV Tour. That sounds quite interesting, but have you given a wild thought to the fact that some players may end up being relegated? They'd definitely be suspended from the PGA and DP World Tour. Where would they call home? Well, they may not be completely homeless after all. There's the Asian Tour, which has links with the Saudis' PIF, but the players really can't be happy with it in the slightest. Take, for instance, if Henrik Stenson or DJ or even Lefty ends up relegated from the tour with no place to call home. A wild thought. It's not unbelievable that Norman enticed these players with a big chunk of cash and the assurance that they had the lawyers to handle every problem. But apparently, there's a truckload of problems that money can't solve. With a relegation problem and the potential ban from other tours and major tournaments and the fuller calendar, we may just see players put their hands up and say, "Sorry, boss," and ask for permission to return to the tour they were on. If you like this video, you have to watch this video on the screen right now. We know you'll love it.